Thanks for joining us for our fourth installment of Boss Talks. Today I have the pleasure of talking with the Erin Heathers. She is the 2022 NAA Excellence Award winner for Certified Apartment Portfolio Supervisor. That is a great honor and really solidifies you as a boss. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
She wants to humbly say that does not.
No.
But I will say the designation of boss is solidified with that designation and that award. I've known you at least 5 years, right? And then we've been associated with one another beyond that. I'd really like to know more about your journey. I read it a little bit because you first won within our local chapter of WMFHA. So that was the first step, right?
Not necessarily. So with the national one, I was nominated for an Emerald Award this year and made finalist. And then we were talking about it, I think, at one of our local meetings. I was on education committee last year, and then I was recently nominated onto the board this year. And we were talking about, hey, we can't do for NAA, we couldn't do any of our association, we couldn't go for any of the awards, because if you guys didn't know, WMFHA has won every single award as an association. And what happens at NAA is when you win an award, you can't win that award for 5 years. So we have won every single award. So we are like, we can't win an award at NAA for a while as an association because we've already tapped them all out. So we couldn't take any more awards at NAA as an association, but we could take awards as individuals. And so we were like, hey, we still want to show up. We are one fabulous. We are WMFHA. We are proud. So how can we show up as WMFHA still? We want to come in as Washington, as affiliates. We want to show and we want to represent. So how can we do that? And we have Sloan, we have Trisha, Katrina. Everyone's, hey, how can we still show up? And they said, we got really good people here. And why don't we get some people out there? And they started putting out some all calls for ballots and for nominations. And that's what they did. And so they reached out to some people who have had good Emerald nominations in the past and said, let's go ahead and let's try and show up on a national level. And we had some great awards. We had 3 award winners this year. So we have Heather, who won Cast of the Year, and we have Sloan, who is our phenomenal representation from WMFHA as education winner of the year. So really, we're representing on a personal level too. So it's really a great thing.
Yeah, no, that's true. And in true humble form, you were focusing on everybody else.
I love, like I said, I love what I do. And for me, I fell into this industry. I am one of those people, I rented an apartment, never lived in an apartment before. I grew up small town, grew up in Burlington, Washington. Yes, I've lived in Washington my whole life. We didn't really have apartments where I grew up. But it's funny, my grandparents had rentals, they had duplexes. So we had rentals back in the day, but we didn't really have apartments. And so when I needed an apartment, I came down here. And I don't know if you guys do this, but when people rent apartments and you click with them, you see what they make and you're like, hey, I could pay you that. That's what the manager did. And he said, I can pay you that and I can give you a discount. You should come work for us instead. And that's how they recruited me. And that was 19 years ago. So for 1 week, I was a leasing consultant. After that 1 week, they actually said, no, you'd be better doing our books. And so within a week, I was like promoted-ish to the bookkeeper / leasing consultant. So I still leased just as much as anyone else, but I also did all the books and 3 days and 10 days, because that was what we did back in the day, way back when. Yeah. And so it was at what is now called High Grove. Back in the day, it was Avalon High Grove on Admiralty and 128th in Everett. And so, yeah, I can still name all the properties I've ever worked at.
Yeah,
and
do you know
all the companies.
Yeah, how many communities?
Okay, maybe I can't name all the properties. I can name all the companies I've worked at, but I've worked at a lot of properties over the years because I was a triage specialist. I just would go to where the need was for a long time. So
Yeah.
that's,
So what was your, I guess, your bread and butter specialty for a long time when
I'm
you were on site?
so I am your money girl. So in
Okay.
college, my degree is in communications. I am a communications major. I have a minor in sociology, and I'm one class short of accounting minor. So if that doesn't say property management at its core, I don't know what does, because I can talk to people, I can counsel people, and then I can fix your books. So that is essentially what I do.
Not in the illegal sense though.
Not in the legal sense, but no, like I can read a ledger and I can tell you what's wrong with, yeah, fix the books. I know that sounds wrong, but no, like I can tell you where there's discrepancies or
Yeah.
because I often say a lot of times when you look at a financial ledger, you can see where the shortcomings are or where the misses are. And so that's really what happens is
Yeah.
that as we go through, or even as at that time as a bookkeeper, I could look at a residence ledger and see, okay, maybe this check was wrong, or maybe we overcharged at this point, or maybe this one was miscredited, or that type of thing. So there's a lot of what I call forensic accounting that goes on that we have to do. A lot of research, and anyone who's out there who does the books at a site will understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Money gets misplaced or gets posted to the wrong account, and you have to research it. You have to figure out where it goes, and it happens. So
there's a lot of money from a
there's a
lot
lot
of
of money.
sources. A lot
Yeah,
of
and you have,
people.
yep, and a lot of roommates that are bringing in different checks. You have money orders back in the day. There was like people were bringing in 4 or 5 different money orders for one account. Well, Allen Hager was 391 units. Yeah, I can remember exactly how many units that one was. And when you think about it, 4 checks on each unit, that's a lot of checks that you're processing by hand. Because back in the day, it was every single one was processed by hand, taken to the bank, because it was way back when. So
Right.
very different.
For sure. Yeah. How things change.
And that's one of the beautiful things about it is we have technology now, and it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. And your journey, just reading your submission to get the award and everything, you did a lot of just personal growth through that whole process as well. And you were definitely gifted and were recognized in the sense of being promoted and getting different roles. But there's a lot you worked on that you now, I guess, even getting this award shows how much growth you've had, I think, personally.
Yeah.
So do you want to share a
So
little bit
yeah,
about that?
I can definitely talk about that. So I think in a lot of this, and so throughout the last year, 2 years especially, I've gone through a profound journey. I lost my brother in May of 2020. He suffered from PTSD from war. He was a vet and did multiple tours in Iraq. And when we closed down for COVID, there was a lot of services that actually ended for people. And he was getting help for PTSD, but unfortunately, a lot of those services ended. And there was just a lot of things that happened. So the world shut down, and we kept our doors open, right? In our industry, we kept our doors open. We had to help a lot of people, but a lot of people were locked in, and they had a lot of different things happen. So I did lose my brother. And in that, I realized I needed to make some personal changes. And as I went to help him, I made a commitment to better myself in ways that would make him proud. And so that's one thing that I personally did, is that I've always been this huge people pleaser. And I think that has helped my career, but also has hindered me personally, because I put others before myself. And while that may have been good, that also is detrimental to maybe my own health and whatnot. So I looked at how can I have longevity in my own personal life and in my own mental health, my physical health. And so I've done some pretty major counseling and trying to figure out how can I do that? How can I show up better as a boss to my team? How can I show up better as a leader? Because honestly, you always say boss and how can be best boss ever and all that. I don't really see myself as a boss. I shy away from that word often. And my team will laugh about that because they're like, yeah, you're a boss. I'm like, no, I want to be a leader. I want to be a part of the team because that way I want to be one of you. I don't necessarily want to be a boss. I want to be a part of the team. But how can I do that when I'm not my best self? So how can I show up as my best self every day? And so that's the work I've been doing. And in doing that, I, yeah, have been on self-discovery and figuring out who that person is. And it's hard because you learn how you might walk away from relationships and friendships and you show up very differently in that moment. You have hard conversations with yourself and with others. And you have conversations that people aren't used to having you have. And that's hard because they're used to you being a yes person all the time. And now you're like, no, that doesn't bode well for me. And so it might be different, but at the same time, that growth is monumental and it's a beautiful thing. And I have enjoyed this journey. I actually just shared about it, I think on Sunday on my Instagram and on social media. I've been pretty open about it because I do think that it's important to share because it is something that a lot of people aren't as open about. And I think that as we go through this, especially as leaders that maybe are looked up to from more junior staff, if we're open about mental health and things that we go through, understanding that it's not always perfect out there and we have to work for it. We have to sometimes do the work and go through the hard days to find the brighter moments. It is very important. And yeah, everything's not perfect out there and you have to do the work and that's a part of the journey. And it is a journey and you have to do the work to get the beauty out of it. So it's really important. It's really, for me, I want to share the story because, like I said, most people don't, and they do it behind the scenes. And for me, it's been, I've shed weight and I've shed physical weight, I've shed emotional weight, I've shed mental weight, but I'm learning to be happy in my own skin and happy in my own self. And it's really important. And it's important to share that so that people see that it's not just a physical outward happiness, it's actually the hard work that you're doing to do that. So yeah, it's all, and I, like I said, I'm sharing it and I've made it public. My Facebook is typically locked down pretty tight for a reason because, I do try and keep my personal life a little bit more sheltered. But that one I did make public because I want it to be known so that I can be an advocate to other people out there.
Yeah, and that's great because I think when people are dealing with things, and I know a lot of people this last 2 years, just because of the pandemic and all the different dynamics there, so many people have been struggling mental health wise, and other ways. And I know this industry has been hit hard. Managers have struggled. So for you as a leader to be able to be honest and show those that are in your care as your managers that are under you, I think that's really great because they feel probably safe to come to you when they're having a hard day.
It's really hard because our managers and our frontline teams, our maintenance teams, they are taking the brunt end of it. And they have been for so long. I'm in the corporate office and I get some of the calls, I do, but I understand that they have been the ones that have been taking so many of the calls, so many of the complaints, so many of just the craziness. And I empathize with them on a daily basis that they are the ones that have been de-escalating things for so long. That's one of the things that we did. We did a book club, and it was the Friday morning book club where it was a leadership, but it was really a time where we could come together and just de-escalate things. And we did 4 books of Monday morning leadership and multipliers and who moved my teas. It was more of a time just to come together and just kind of let it out sometimes. And it was a time where people could just be. And it was, you could say what was on your heart and different people led it, and you come as you are. It was self-selected to be there, and that's what we did during COVID when our doors were locked and we couldn't do anything. We just tried to find a way to be real, and I want to continue to do those types of things with teams because we have to be human in all this, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because on one of my other talks,
your boss talks. You didn't call
one of my boss talks.
On your boss talks. I love the name. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I've always struck away from the word. I don't know why.
You got to use boss as an empowerment rather
I
than
know
that you are a boss of your domain, not
true.
of people, right?
True.
Of your life.
I mean,
right?
my domain. Yeah, just not people. I know. Yeah. I just want to, but I'm just a lover. That's always been my thing, and I just want to take care of everyone. So.
Yeah, I like the phrase boss status. So
yeah.
Boss status is on you. But the fact is, so many managers play counselor on site to their residents. So many people are dealing with stuff that live there. These are people's homes. They come into the office. They may not have any other friends. You got just like anybody that is just getting ongoing other people's troubles. If you don't decompress and talk that out, you're just holding other people's weight all the time. And so I can only imagine if as a manager somebody doesn't learn how to get that out.
And our teams aren't trained
No.
for that. And that's the thing is like our teams aren't trained, and most of them aren't in counseling themselves to know how to release that. So are they releasing it themselves? So they're taking the brunt end of that. And a lot of times we talk about how are they emptying their cup? Because they're just taking everyone else's. And I don't want to swear right now, but you know what they're taking. And are you emptying your cup? Are you just filling it up? Yeah.
It's almost like it needs to be an added piece of training. How to talk to people.
Yeah.
Because although we don't say that's part of the job, it just naturally becomes a part of the job.
It is. You have to. I always say, like, you end up being almost like an adult daycare provider at the same time. You wear so many different hats in what we do. And it's really important to understand that you have to take on all these roles, and no 2 days are going to be the same. And how do you explain that in an interview to someone that, oh, by the way, if you don't like people, go on, because you're going to have to take it at some point. So it's a hard one. And we're in a hard time right now where finding staffing and finding people, keeping people, it's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot over the last few years. So I guess the biggest thing is through that process, we're all learning, like, how do we adjust these jobs so that people are being able to be sustainable through them? What can be done to take something off of them, and not an intentional segue, but technology to a degree can be that, right? It could be a way to relieve, but also could become a burden now.
I think we have to be strategic in that. I think technology is a way, but I think also we have to listen to our teams. Most important, we have to listen to our teams. We have to invest in our teams and have them be the voice, but also listen to them, but also don't sign checks that you can't cash. Like I always say that I'm not going to make a promise that I know I can't deliver to you. So that's the worst thing that we can do, is to say, hey, I'm going to do this for you, but then you can't do it. Like, I want to be real and authentic from the beginning. I want to tell you, this is what I can do and what I can't do. And at the end of the day, like, you will get a more loyal staff, and they will follow you, and they will respect you if you can say, I can't do that for you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably one thing that I've definitely learned over the years is just be real, be you, and then utilize technology, train, develop, find people's innate talents and capitalize upon those things. You have people out there that are incredibly good at certain things. Figure out what makes them excited, passionate, and then capitalize upon those things. Because
Nope.
you'll be surprised what you have out there and what makes their heart sing. And if you can find those, we have my maintenance director at our company is literally, he does producing on the side. Do you want to know who helped me create my video for NAA and do my voice recording? It was Nick Abernathy. And he did a phenomenal
Nice.
job. And we did it in an hour and a half, and it turned out phenomenal. And it was like, and it was so much fun that night or that day. We went and I went into his recording studio and he helped me overlay it. It was so much fun. And it was something that he has passion about and he loves to do. So finding other people's innate like talents is really fun. And knowing that I could reach out to him. I have some staff members that are like incredible with spreadsheets and pivot tables, and others that are great with marketing and creating beautiful like documents and collateral. I can reach out to them when I need help. So knowing
Yeah.
what your bench strength is, they love to help with that. So really that I think it's how to keep people engaged, how to not burn people out is
Right.
to really tap into those strengths. And the book that I learned that in is Multipliers by Liz
Okay.
Weissman. Great book. I'm a reader. That's one thing I've learned through my 75 Hard Challenge and through the book club that we did is reading is really actually a fun thing to do. And I forgot all about that from college. Is reading is
Yeah.
fun. And yeah, Multipliers is a great leadership book. I highly recommend it. So
Well, thanks for sharing.
yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
people will check that out. Part of your journey here recently is this
Mhm.
challenge you've been doing.
Yeah.
And so that seems to be something that's helped you be more introspective, probably. I don't know if it's been a spiritual journey, but maybe it
Yeah.
has to a
Yeah.
degree, because I think that that means a lot of different things, but it is something where you tap into yourself. So yeah, share what
Yeah.
that's
So
been like, because you're in the
day
middle of it.
I'm on day 47. Yeah, I can tell you exactly what day
Okay.
I'm on. I'm on day 47. So right now I am on, it's called 75 hard because I'm extra. And I always jokingly say E stands for extra. So I'm going to actually do 85 hard because I'm doing it up until the Friday before, and I leave for NAA. I leave for NAA on a Wednesday. So
Oh
I'm going to do
wow.
it the Friday before I leave for NAA so I can give myself like a little break before I go. But I initially started this challenge so if anyone knows, I've been doing this weight loss thing since June 2nd. I just actually had a doctor's appointment this morning. June 2nd of 2021. I've been trying to lose some weight and get healthy. It was a commitment I made to myself after I lost my brother and all this different stuff. I started this journey and my goal was to lose 150 pounds. And that was my goal. I'm throwing it out there into the universe because if you don't claim it, you won't get it. So I'm claiming it now. And I said, hey, I'm going to do this thing. So I lost 75 pounds right before Halloween. And then I said,
Ooh.
I'm going to take a break over Christmas, over the holidays. And I'd worked with my doctor and I said, you know what, let's take a break over the holidays because I want to see if I can just do the eating program and maintain because I wanted it to be a lifestyle, not a diet, a lifestyle. So I did, and I maintained. And I'm like, cool. So then right after Emeralds, I'm like, I'm going to hit it again hard. And one of my colleagues at Epic, Lindsay Jacobs, has been doing this thing called 75 Hard. She said, Erin, I want you to try it. Said, you are the most driven person I know. You can do this. And I started, it's called 75 Hard, and I thought it was going to be something to help me get the last 75 off. I needed 75 more to get to 150. And I thought, okay, it's going to be the diet and the workout to get me my last 150. And then it's ended up being so much more than a diet and a workout. So what 75 Hard is actually a whole mindset switch. And yes, it is 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outside to get up every morning and I go for a walk. And I throw hills in and I do all that, but I take my dog for a walk. And it's a way for me to start my day. And then it is drinking a gallon of water. So yeah, I think I've been in the bathroom more often than not. That is a real thing. I will tell you that. And then you follow a diet. So that's any diet that works for you. And so I do no sugar, which I've pretty much done since January, or since June anyways. I do no carbs, so no gluten. I do pretty much only clean carbs. And then I'm also doing like only a fourth cup of dairy, so very little dairy, and no cheese, because cheese is probably one of my favorite things ever. So that was one of my give ups. I am having nachos come June. I think it's like 16th or something like that. So anyways, there you go. But so it's a diet, 2 workouts, a gallon of water, no alcohol. So that will help you. And then you read 10 pages a day, and you take a picture, a progression picture every day. And you track all this. And like I said, and one workout has to be outside. So you do 2 workouts, one can be inside, one outside. And you do it for 45 days, for 75 days. I'm doing it for 85, but you make a commitment to yourself. And it's in that commitment to yourself and to the reading, and the reading is not fiction, so it's nonfiction. So it's been a lot of self-help books. I have actually learned a lot about myself. I have made commitments to myself. I haven't slacked on myself, and you can't cheat in any of it. If you cheat, you start over. So remember how I started off this saying I had COVID earlier? I still did all this during COVID. So even in COVID, I still got up and I did my walks. Now, there were slow walks. There was no hills, and it was with a mask on, so I wasn't contaminating anyone, kept my distance, but it was probably more of a crawl type of stroll. But I think that's also why I recovered faster. I wasn't as sick. It's because I did get out in the fresh air. I went slow, steady, and I did keep moving throughout that whole process. But it's been a mental mind switch. It has been spiritual. I have gotten closer. I have started redeveloping my relationship with God and figuring out, like, where do I need to be myself with, when am I going to accept? When am I going to take in my own relationships with other people and all that kind of stuff. So I found that self-worth that I think I've lacked for a very long time. And it's been really great. I've worked with 2 close doctors, to my weight loss doctor, and then also I found a counselor that has really helped me. And that's one thing I have to say. Again, I talked about it earlier, but we expect our teams and ourselves to be counselors to our residents and to our teams and to everyone else. So finding someone that you can speak to, and it doesn't always work. The first person you talk to may not be your first fit, because I can tell you, I talked to someone earlier and it wasn't a good fit. And then we ended up parting ways, and it wasn't a good fit for me. I found someone else down the road that is a good fit, and we're making great headway. So finding someone that works for you is the most important thing. And that's a part of my journey and what's gotten me to where I am today, and definitely a healthier, happier me.
Yeah, it's great. And thanks for sharing that, because I think I've heard of this challenge. I'm a little intimidated by it. So good on you for
I'm super intimidated. Like, I cannot drink. I can't like do 2 workouts. But it's really the commitment that you make to yourself, and you're like, no, I'm gonna do this. And once you make that commitment and you start doing it, you're like, and trust me, I like looked at my pictures from day 1 to day 45. I did like comparison pictures. Yeah. I cannot wait till the end. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I applaud you on working on yourself, because it's an important thing to do, and it's worthwhile. I'm a person that's trying to do the same thing, trying to see yourself as valuable and work on things that are hard, that are more professional, all the things. Because if you're not a healthy person, you can't show up for other people.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah. It's hard, especially when I've always said people who give the most often take the least for themselves.
Yeah.
And so we expect the most out of ourselves compared to others. And I've now gotten to the point where I'm like, no, I need to take time for me and have to expect the same out of myself, and in return give the same to myself. So I think that's what this challenge has done for me, is I can now walk away from things and say, no, I committed to this, so my commitment to myself is as important as my commitment to you, and look at it that way. And I've never done that before.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your personal and professional journey with me and with everyone that's watching. Yeah. Is there anything you want to share at the end here that you want parting remarks to the people?
I always want to say, keep doing you, keep doing what absolutely, I guess, you're passionate about, and don't second guess your passions. And I think that's the thing, is if your heart calls you to it, there's a reason for it. And I think that's one thing that I've at times went backwards and said, okay, wait, is this the right thing? I want to always look at myself at the end of the day in the mirror and say, nope, I like who I am. I lived with integrity, and this is who I am. And as long as I can just go to my grave with integrity and be truthful to who I am, then I lived a good life. And that's really what I want to do. And so I think I want to live my life with passion, and that's what I want to exude to my teams. And as a leader, truly want to be that servant leader and work with others in that capacity. But I also want people to live with passion and pursue things that they love. So I think I've had a lot of people who maybe didn't love this industry. And I want to tell them, that's okay. This isn't for everybody. Yeah. And find something that you love. Find something that you can do. Because I think COVID showed that to a lot of people, that it's hard. Like I said, it's hard. But then others, it's been amazing. And people come back. That's one thing, is this is a revolving door. Like, a lot of people come back. Or find the vendor side is great. Luminous has been great for you, Evan. And you've brought a lot of things through your boss talks. And you're continuing to elevate and do different for that platform and for the company. And I saw you at your previous company, and you did elevate and change it as well. So it's amazing what you can do in different environments. We all bring different things to every company that we touch along the way. So do not think that you're not bringing value where you go by being your unique individual self. That's pretty much what I have.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And
you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone that joined us. And this is the end of Boss Talks, episode 4. Join us next Wednesday, and we will do this again.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Boss Talks podcast. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please reach out via email at info@communityboss.com. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also watch the podcast live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Community Boss LinkedIn or Facebook pages. Until next time, manage like a boss.